Hello, my name is Brandon Schmel and welcome to a video presentation on a project plan for a rental house remodel. Here is a overview of the presentation. I'm going to start with a project overview and then get into the project charter. And we'll talk about a cost-benefit analysis, the work breakdown structure, a network diagram, the risk register, the project budget, the graphical schedule, and the project communication matrix. Alright, to begin with the project plan is the project overview. The project chosen is to renovate a newly purchased house to meet all housing codes and make it more livable for all tenants. The house was purchased in May of 2021 and has been undergoing renovation projects since. Some of these projects include adding a dishwasher, relocating the refrigerator, installing an egress window for the basement room, leveling the back patio, rewiring some of the electrical work, running cold air intakes for the upstairs rooms. All tenants and house owners are willing to work on these additions and we considered part of the project team. An additional goal for this project is to have everything completed by the end of August so the house is prepared for upcoming school year. This house requires many smaller projects with the overall goal of creating a more livable and comfortable housing arrangement for all of the tenants. Alright, next we're going to get into the project charter. So to begin with, the project charter is the project's purpose. The major purpose of this project is to meet proper bedroom housing codes for the basement bedroom. The code needing to be met is that a bedroom must have at least one entrance and two exits. Because there is a room in the basement of the house, an egress window must be added to allow for emergency exits from the basement. Non-functional kitchen appliances will be replaced and allow for actual use. The house has an older furnace that does not heat or cool the upstairs effectively, so adding a cold air return will allow for better air circulation and overall cooling. And as a whole, they're all of the improvements are to increase satisfaction of the tenants, allow for more livable rental home, and increase market value in the future. So then we go into some business objectives. With all of the rental remodels possible, when doing the remodels, possible housing fines and regulations will be reduced to zero. Installing the cold air returns will allow for cheaper cooling costs. Additionally, to increase renter satisfaction and increase market value. So next we're going to get into some project details. Some requirements are the remodel rental house to meet all housing codes. The project to be completed before the beginning of the academic school year and to improve overall livability. Next, we're getting to the scope statement. The rental house will be improved and remodeled by adding an egress window, new kitchen appliances, additional power terminals, and an improved cold air return system. The improvements will meet all housing codes and improve tenant satisfaction. So just a brief overview of some deliverables. We need a functional egress window, remodel and functional kitchen, additional power terminals, and effective cold air returns. And continuing with the project charter is going into depth on the human resource requirements. So all of the individuals that are part of the project team are either the homeowners or the tenants. As you can see, Gary and Robert are the homeowners and will be the project leads and are also willing to be laborers on the house. You can see myself there as project manager and laborer, and you can see the other three tenants there that are willing to be laborers as well. Some brief overview of some risks include discovering more issues with the house that must be fixed, anyone getting injured during the construction, unexpected damages to the house during remodel portions, unknown housing codes not being met after completion of the project, which would have to be figured out later down the line. So some completion criteria. For this project to be complete, the backyard must be landscaped, egress window must be installed, kitchen appliances and remodel will be done, new power terminals will be functional, and cold air returns will cool the house more effectively. So then to define the project success a little bit more, some specific measurables are the functional egress window that meets all codes, fully functional and effective kitchen, all terminals functional and do not overload any of the circuits, and the cold air cools the house more effectively, and the cooling is noticeable by all of the upstairs tenants. Again, continuing with the project charter, some assumptions are that the tenants will contribute labor capabilities, so there's no cost to labor. which is a huge savings on the remodel. And then there will be no other issues that should arise during the remodel. We've done a good inspection, so we shouldn't see anything else. Some constraints for the project to be completed before the beginning of the academic school year on 8/8/21, and then all housing codes are met for the downstairs bedroom. And then an alternative thought is the only other possible alternative is to sell the house, find a new, more updated property. But with the timing of the school year and the tenants that they have agreed, it would be more of an issue than an actual alternative. Then we have the stakeholders listed, very similar to the human resources. It's basically the homeowners and the rest of the tenants will be living there because they'll be living there is a pretty important project for the tenants and then the homeowners later down the line. Next, we're going to get into the cost-benefit analysis. The current value of the home is around $120,000. That is with only 3 bedrooms and 2 baths. Adding the necessary remodels to meet housing codes will allow for the house to be classified as a 4-bedroom, 2-bath. And then on average, adding additional room to an existing house adds somewhere between $30,000 and $50,000. So that's definitely a market value increase for the homeowners. Having another room also allows the homeowners to rent out an additional room for an increased monthly income. And meeting all the housing codes will reduce possibility of fines or illegal renting in the future. Additionally, the fact of not having any labor or costs is very beneficial to the house remodel. Here we have the work breakdown structure. For this, it is a detailed chart describing each of the different sections of the remodel and what steps must be done in order and through that section. So as you can see, the first section is focused on the egress window, and that goes through all the steps there. Of course, you have to dig the hole for the window, you have to cut the hole in the window, install it, seal it, all that kind of stuff. For the kitchen, it's just removing the appliances and installing the new one so that making sure they work. Then the third section is all the the new electricity circuits being added for the rooms. Basically, you have to route the wires, run the power, and land them in the rooms. And the fourth section is the cold air. Similar to the power, you have to run the ducting, cut out the holes for the vents, and then connect it to the furnace. Those two can be done or basically at the same time because it's all routing throughout the house. Here we have a network diagram of the remodel. As you can see, it begins with the rental house remodel. You have the 4 separate main remodel sections, and then each step in those sections that will lead to the finished remodel. As you see, the critical path is what's in yellow because those must be done for the house to be up to code. There's no major order to each of these 4 sections. It's just what needs to be done to finish the remodel, and meeting all of the housing codes is a very important part of this project. Alright, next we're going to get into the risk register. As you can see, we have a chart with 5 different risks that detail the owner, the description, the probability, the impact, the total score, and what can be done to mitigate those. As you can see, risk 1 is unknown pre-existing damage to the house. Anything with the framing or electrical. It's a pretty impactful risk if it does occur. So to mitigate that, it would just be using the excess budget that will be discussed a little bit later to make those issues more affordable. Second risk is a serious injury. Injury can happen during construction projects and stuff like that, using power tools and saws and stuff like that. So probability is low because we're going to keep everyone wearing proper safety equipment, but it would have a pretty big impact. So as you can see, the mitigation is just wearing PPE and being safe during the construction process. Third risk is failed to meet the remodel deadline. Again, it's the beginning of the school year. With proper planning and project timeline adjustments, there should be no problems with that, and that's the mitigation strategy. Risk 4 would be not meeting all of the rental codes or the agreements. The only mitigation for that is doing the research ahead of time and making sure that all of the remodel is being done is up to code and that the tenants have realistic expectations. And then the final risk is just any sort of property damage that occurs during the remodel. And then to mitigate that, just have to be done with care and proper planning, with the goal of improving the house and not destroying anything. All right, so here we have a more detailed project budget that was discussed earlier. So even with the minimum assumed amount or market value addition of $30,000 for adding another room that meets code, that's the starting cash amount that we have. There's no real financing done, and then as you can see to the left, there is a more itemized list of all of the major costs for the project. Some of the biggest ones are the egress window, tool rentals, the new appliances, the cold air returns end up being expensive. And then additionally, you can see that the labor section of the itemized project budget is all zero because the homeowners and tenants are all willing to improve the house together and complete the project without any monetary benefit. Here we have the graphical schedule, which is in the Gantt chart kind of format. I've updated this as of this past weekend, and you can see it has the 4 different sections of the remodel and the expected start date and end date. As you can see, almost all of the remodel has been completed besides proper sealing the window. That's just due with adding drainage to the egress window exit. But other than that, all of the scheduling stuff has been completed, and this just shows it in a more graphical and Gantt chart style. And lastly, we have the project communication matrix. This is basically what is expected communication strategies throughout the project. As you can see, there's 5 different communication methods with kickoff meetings, project team meetings, technical and creative design meetings, monthly project status meetings, and project status reports. A lot of this is pretty informal stuff because of the homeowners and tenants being close, but as you can see, the kickoff meeting will only happen once. It's kind of in person, face to face, when the homeowners purchase the house. The project team meetings will occur during work weekends, and then everything else is more face-to-face or text or call updates that'll be done between tenants and the homeowners. Additionally, that is the last slide of this presentation. Thank you for watching,